He brought more surprise to the process. Okay, so who would like to begin? You're in arms. Okay, let's figure out
We can turn that much lower now that we don't have an orchestra.
1, 2. Should we do? Okay, cool. So my name is Thorsten Kierip, as I said. I am all the way from Pretoria. So this is my first time ever performing with an orchestra. And it's been a beautiful experience. And we met, as our mother here was saying, that we met 2 days ago, right? And we're like pieces of a puzzle that we had to fit and make a perfect picture so that all of you can see, right? And it fit so well. From the beginning, we sat down, we went through the scores and all these things, and they presented what they had. And we saw that this is a marriage for orchestra and poetry together, right? And then the second question was why I picked these poems. So these poems are kind of personal to me, in the sense that today is Human Rights, but also World Poetry Day. So what better way to speak about what is happening about in and around us, especially with women, and addressing this issue as men, and what are we talking to our boys about the situation that's happening to women around us, right? How do we groom these boys to be in a world where it's acceptable and not acceptable to be vulnerable, but also it is acceptable but also not acceptable to be strong, right? But also we know the case about Palestine, how it has been an ongoing war, and the voice of Palestine has to be heard, whether it's directly or indirectly, and it's only fair for us as poets or even artists to speak about these situations that we're going through, right? I hope I've answered. Yeah, I'll take the whole day.
Sanibonani. Futhi kaMbalo kaMalimela. So bengiqala nami ukuperforma ne-orchestra namhlanje, and ngingasho ukuthi kube i-experience more than experiment nje. Because one, we have each poem has a composer, so I think they ran out a call and then they composed music for your poem. And I think specifically for me as a Venek writer, it was an experience and an experiment. Ngoba i-composer, I'm not even sure understood isiZulu, but they did their best and we had to try and connect. We didn't initially, but along the way we tried to make it work. And then the second question, why this poem? So I chose this poem ngoba Isihloko is one poem that I love experimenting with, and this is an experiment as well. So Isihloko also has a poetry film, so just wanted to see ukuthi like kungaba kanjani if ngiblenda with an orchestra, and I think wasn't that bad. Wasn't that bad, honestly, but we tried, we made it work, so yeah.
Hi. What was the first question again? I don't know.
Working with the orchestra.
Oh, okay. It was interesting. I think that I was very excited. I've been excited about this since because I've never done anything with an orchestra before. And I'm trying to experiment with poetry as much as I can while I'm on this earth. But then the orchestra did not have a composition for me. So I was very, very sad that day because I was like, oh, why? But they spoke about something that happened last year where someone's composition didn't work, so they got the percussionist to work with her and they created something beautiful. And I think that I was very hesitant because I actually haven't seen a percussionist before this week. This was my first time. But then I met him just yesterday and he heard the piece and he said that he read it the night before and he thought it was a very beautiful poem. And I think that from the moment that he said that, I just felt like, okay, we're going to be okay. Because he read it, and I think it means a lot for somebody to read your work. I don't know. Like, he could have not read it, could have gone to bed and not looked at it, but he read it. So that meant a lot. Yeah, and then we tried something on the piece yesterday, and then we tried today. And it was so beautiful for me. I feel like it just worked. I don't know what it would have sounded like an orchestra, but I know what it sounds like with this. And it reminds me of that thing where the path will always make its way. The path will always find you. If what is supposed to be will happen, so maybe this is what was supposed to happen.
Yep.
What was the second question?
Why the poem?
Why? Oh, okay. Why the poem? The two of them, I think, because are real stories. Last year, I was on this talent show, and everybody kept complaining that, oh, my pieces are too dark. And I had the rebuttal that I'm writing about what is happening, and if happy poems are definitely necessary, but I feel like for where I'm from, I feel like people generally, we like to laugh and we like to dissociate and we like to forget that everything is on fire. But even if you are dancing while things are on fire, because your house is on a mountain top, eventually the fire will reach you. So yeah, I chose those pieces because they are true. I know that today is Human Rights Day in SA, and it's also World Poetry Day. I'm not South African, so I didn't have anything that particularly spoke to Human Rights Day in South Africa, but I think that there is a general relatability with some of the themes that I explored in that poem, in the sense that the grief is, we've all felt the grief. So I think that was my reasoning behind. And I wanted to do something honest, and I think those poems are honest. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hello everyone. My name is Adamot. Adam, like, because it's in French, so Adam has the first man of the word, and Mo has the word. So the beginning was the word was God, and so on and so forth. So politically, this is the meaning of my name. But I think that they did it on purpose. They decided maybe to give me the floor to speak the last one, because they complain all the time that I talk a lot, ask a lot of questions. I will try to be short. Okay, the first question is about like my experience with Philharmonic. Yeah, to be what can I say about it? When I wrote the text, the first day I performed it, it was with kora. I don't know if you know kora. This, traditional guitar. You can find in Guinea, in Mali, and so on and so forth. Yeah, that was the first time. And also I played it like in United States of America, Utah. And also I played it on the national TV, but it was on piano. But when I was coming to Durban, and I heard that I'm going to perform with like a kind of orchestra, I said, I wondered, how it's going to be. So with many people, with all music and all the, so I was like wondering. And when I came for the first that we met for a rehearsal, to be honest, I was very overwhelmed by the music. I was very happy. I was somewhere else. It's like, oh my goodness. I needed that for a long time, to go deep inside of me in order to take it out and share with people. It's one of the best experiences that I ever had in my life, working with the orchestra. And I thank them for that. CPDLA, thank you very much. I love you. And also I love the band. I'm very sorry because I'm leaving tomorrow, by 7 or by 8. I'm very sorry. I wish I could stay here again maybe for 2 months. Great. And also, what is the next question? Why that poem? The 2 poems or the only one? Okay. So, I want to explain a little bit at which moment I wrote that poem. I mean, that poem was not supposed to be written because I was on the campus at university and I was separated from my friend, from my family because I was writing a PhD on a writer, Christopher Kimbo from Nigeria, eastern of Nigeria, is Igbo. So I was writing my PhD on him. So I stopped going and visiting my friend, my family, and everybody. And I lost at that moment because I spent around like 4 or 5 years, and I lost a lot of friends of mine at that period, like relatives, a friend. But unfortunately, I could not, attend the funerals for most of them. And one night, I think it was about 2 a.m., and then something like started talking to me. And like to the happy memory of those who are gone. I walk by night, I walk by day, I walk to you to find some little light at the end of my word. That not fratters me. And then he goes. See the way the poem came out. Like that. Thinking of all my friends and my relatives that have gone at that time. That's the way, it was came out. Thank you very much.
So, good afternoon everybody. My name is John Hendricks. I'm the resident conductor at KZNPO. I would say new, but not so new anymore. And from my side, I just firstly want to say thank you to UKZN, to the Department of Creative Arts, and to Poetry Africa as a project. I think this is the 2nd edition, last year being the 1st, and I think that all of us are discovering as this process goes along what it could be, what the pitfalls are, what we should fix, what we can do to make it better. And I think that this is really a space of synergy. It's almost 2 different worlds, where, at least from an orchestra side, in this context, we play without words, and usually the poets play without music. And we have found, and this is the beauty of the process, is that we need to find synergy from both of our worlds, where we actually deal with the same thing, the human condition and the lived experience. And often, especially in today's world, we are bombarded with, superficial things, and fame and Hollywood and blah, 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 Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff. Where all of us here on stage, and including yourselves as an audience, we've got a very, very big responsibility to get to the truth and to stop pretending that these things are not happening. And the arts, poetry, spoken word, visual arts, music, is that vessel through which we communicate that. And so thank you for opening yourself up to that. It can be very intense, listening to certain kinds of music, listening to certain stories, but it's important stories. And we need to hold space like you have, and we need to appreciate that and push that even more so that next year we can get more budget. And then we can take this to an even bigger space, to include more people, and to speak on the magic of the arts. So I think with that, shall we leave it there?
Yes.
Thank
Anybody
you
wants to comment from.
very much from our side. We open up to questions. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. My name is Lungo. I'd like to, it's a comment and just something I want to throw in there. I really enjoyed it. It was my first time coming to such event, so I didn't know what to expect. And thank you so much to the live performance. Is it possible for the live performance to smile a little bit? Maybe they're supposed to be as.
Are we talking about musicians or poets?
The musicians. I don't know if it's possible. I don't know this genre, and I'm thinking now if it could help you guys, because for me, I really enjoyed the music. It really made me feel good, and I smiled. So I'm thinking, but the person who's delivering it to me, they're so I don't know whether it's something that you could work on. It might not happen tomorrow, but so it's possible.
Let me say this. You didn't see my face. You got my back. And my face is worse. I'll tell you why. It's a valid point, of course. But we are dealing with very serious subject matter. And so it's very difficult for me to smile during a piece where we are speaking about what is happening in Palestine. When we're speaking about the kids that are being, so we've got to emulate that as well. That's part of the art form. We cannot be doing works like this and we are happy. I found myself in a particularly deep space, more than usual, because of what we are dealing with. And I think as artists we have to embody that. Yeah. Now, of course, perhaps some musicians were just like, whatever, they wouldn't connect. But I think, if we were doing, I don't know. Yes. Then they would embody. It's of course a valid thing, and as an audience member, this is what you take note of. So we understand this. Hopefully, I've defended my colleagues enough, but your point is certainly taken, and yeah, absolutely.
Hi, I'm Tembea. I just want to find out, besides Umbali, do any of the other poets have their work in a book form? And Umbali just released hers. Do the rest of you have anything similar?
I have 7 books, and those are solo, and then lots of collaborations, and it's all good that that's news. Because any time's a good time. My most recent book is called Grief Seed, and it was launched in Feb last year. So yes, they may not be available here. I always carry a few in my bags. But yeah, it's been a long journey since the early 90s of writing and collaborating, and even helping with the publishing of Black women writers. So there are a lot of names that I carry when I put work out.
Well, with me, there's been several people who have approached me about why don't you have?
And why don't you have?
And I had a discussion with Umama yesterday. Writing a book in poetry format is way different and more intimate than on stage, right? So I've been a performing artist for 20 years now as a poet. So I'm gradually moving towards writing or publishing a book, right? But I want to have a different approach separate from the stage. Because when you're gonna grab my book, it's a sort of like a one-on-one interaction. And we have to have that type of connection when we do that, right? So for me personally, I want to be in that space that I'm like, okay, I'm concentrating on the person who is reading, not satisfying your ears to say, right? But I've got work on Spotify, I've got work on Deezer, I've got work on iTunes and all these things, and YouTube and all. So just check me out and then you'll find my work there.
Who are you?
Oh, my name is Torsten Kliribka. Yes, thank you, young man.
Okay. I think that people have been telling me to write a book now.
because I've spoken too much. So it's time for me to have a break and write something for as a kind of like to allow people, because not everybody attends like the performances and also what you do. You know that yes, it's interesting. Many people are interested in it, but it should be good for example, universities or schools to one day study what you say or what you write. I'm thinking about it. Many years ago, I wrote like a collection of poems, and a friend of mine, read it. He said it's good. Yeah, that's good. You can publish it. And then I saw another one and another one. They said, this is not good. My man is not good. So I saved it somewhere, and I wrote another one about like 50 or like 60 pages, and I submitted to one of my older brother who studied at Ottawa, Canada, and he said, you know, you wrote too much, but there is only one page with 2 lines which is poetical, but the rest you are talking about things that have nothing with poetry. You cannot write as if you're talking when it comes like to poetry. No. So since then I've decided to talk. One day I write.
To answer the question in a very, very short way, I have work on Spotify, on Apple Music, listenable. Only 2, because I just started releasing last year. Because for some reason I was very, very scared of doing that. But then I did it once last year and it was okay, and I did it a second time and it was okay. So this year I think I'm going to drop an EP or an album, something more. Yes. But for written, I have collections that I have written but that are not published because I don't want to self-publish. I would like to publish with a publishing house and do it properly. Have I sent them to publishing houses? No. But yeah, it will happen.
Yes.
Okay. Just before I ask my question, which has 2 parts, just quickly, there are 9 copies of Malika's Brief Seed available at the ticket box, which I brought here myself, so, so I know there are 9. My question is for Chad in 2 parts. Who are the composers and who composed and arranged the scores, and were a selection of scores or a selection of compositions, were they matched to the poems, or were the scores composed with specific poems in mind?
So a little bit about the process, and this is also, I think, what we are busy figuring out, what the best route to go. But at the minute, it is, we do a call out to composers, we've got the poems, and the composers can choose which poem sort of resonates with them, and they write accordingly. What we tend to get in return with a finished product is the music underlying the poetry. Now, this is where the synergy should come in, because of course every artist is different, every person's approach, opinions, feelings is different. And so, you know, the composer may not altogether find the crux of what the poet is doing, and perhaps vice versa. But in short, we had, and this is where your poem, where Debbie's poem unfortunately didn't get any submissions, where some of the others got a few, and then we sort of had to select. And we do it also so that composers can get an opportunity to do new original work, and so that they can also be exposed. So I'll just speak about, perhaps I go in reverse order. The poem Beating, the music was written by Lisa Brill. Stripped Palestine was written by Amira Willinghagen. I hope I'm saying that correctly. And then, of course, Debbie's piece was all improvised, so we can say that Stefan was the composer there. And In Memoriam is the name of the composition, but this is Night, and that was written by Stephen Aronser. And our first poem was written by Aklegan Milanzi. Now, I made a joke about the funding earlier on, but it would be wonderful to have the composers up here with us. Not only now after the performance, but leading up to it, and to really create synergy. So I make a light-hearted joke about it, but it's very important that especially this kind of thing is well supported and well funded, because we see the fruits of it. And the fruits is not this performance, but it's what you carry with you leaving here. So I hope I've answered your question. Good.
Firstly, just to say thank you for sharing your beautiful work with us. I just have two quick questions. What is that thing that makes each of you take like these moments of deep pain in the world and turn them into poetry? Is it a seeking understanding? Is it catharsis? Is it bearing witness? And then secondly, what does the writing process look like for each of you?
I'm going to nip that one in the bud. So thank you for your questions, but we actually had that question in our lineup and decided that it would take as long as the show for each of us to explain our writing processes. And I don't think that's what you came for. So I don't know if necessarily we can go into that at this point. I'll speak for myself. Creative expression in different forms, to your first question about why. I feel like I'm just this animal. This is what I'm born to do. I think of writing as a form of listening and a form of breathing, like a way of being in the world. It's not a job, it's not a literary pursuit, it's not an academic exercise, it's never been that for me. It's felt very physical, like I need to express it, and it did come in words and songs and movement of different kinds. So it's a natural, an innate response for me. And then I got schooled in certain forms and how to polish things and edit and produce and publish, etc. But that came secondary. I think this is the animal I am. And I think about creativity as available to all of us constantly. I don't believe in anybody's myth of writer's block. I think that's an idea that gets sold. That there is infinite creativity, like there are infinite galaxies. And that our bodies are even like that universe, constantly pouring out the possibility of creative expression. And we have to listen and grow into the confidence of finding how your voice and how your unique identity and your own stories help you be the instrument for that in whatever art form it takes. So, and I use it for healing, essentially. A lot of my work is writing for therapeutic practice for myself and facilitating it with other people.
I'm gonna try and put it in a nutshell. Yeah, try. So, I've in the beginnings of my poetry journey, right, it would be anything and everything that came my way, and I would just write. So, there's one illness that I'm dealing with, which is called perfectionism, which is a problem, So, I've grown into a position where when I have an idea, I would sit down and scrutinize it to the T and make sure that I've got all the details properly so that I don't suck it out of my thumb and I don't lie to all of you. You get what I mean? So also the reason why I chose these poems, especially Palestine, I sat down with my mom and we had to sit down and talk about it and discuss the history about it and what is happening in Palestine right now. Things that are not on the surface need to come to the surface as well. Also, the reason why I chose this poem is because other poets said I don't have the right to write about such subject matters. And it's true, it's happening within the spaces, saying that it is not my experience, so I don't have the right to write about such. But who is going to be the voice of the voiceless? who's going to be the one who's going to resonate about the situations that is happening in the world to other people who are on the other side of the world, to make other people aware of what is happening. So I choose themes or subject matters very delicately, so that I know that when I get into this, I give it my mind, body, and soul, and I submerge myself into it, and I make sure that when I come out, yeah, knowing what I'm doing. I hope I've answered you. Okay, after school is after school. I don't know if anybody wants to say from that side, or...
For me, honestly, it's just experiences or things I see happening around me. And the poems I performed today are not new, they're quite old, so I can't remember what happened exactly at that time, because I think the first one is like 8+ years old, so yeah.
Okay, so for me, I think that being any artist even, but especially poets and writers in general, but any artist, you are born with a different set of eyes. You are born, you cannot just look and pass. You are born observing. And maybe things stay with you longer. So for me, the writing is a way to expel it, because if I've seen it and it is, I'm carrying it in my bones, I'm carrying it in my spirit, it is heavy. So I need to expel it by doing something to it and writing about it, if that makes sense. The first piece, I spoke about a lot of things that were going on. I think I wrote that in 2023. That were going on in 2023 and that are still going on now, which is very funny in my country. In that piece I spoke about, I mentioned the kidnapping, and it did happen. I have the scar here. So, yeah, that happened when I was like 13, and I wrote that piece and I was like, how was I 20? I think 20. I'm not sure. But so like it was plenty years had passed. But I don't think I processed it when it happened when I was 13, because obviously I didn't really know what was going on. But it did stay with me. It was in my body. It was in my bones, and I wrote about it in 2023. So that was me expelling it. The other poem that I wrote, the second one I performed, I know that it was also from a feeling, but I think that I got the first lines of it in a dream. I can't really remember. But again, it's something that is happening, something that I probably saw and was heavy and stayed with me, so it needed to be expelled. So yes, I think that poets, writers are more observant, and we carry all of it just a bit more. So yeah, that's my answer.
Thank you, Dave. Where to start? For me, poetry doesn't start when you start writing. It starts when you feel something, then you try to transcribe that thing that you feel. And if you are really careful, you see that there is poetry in everything. Like a plate falling on the marble, and the arbor that flees without any crash, and the cockatoo crowing. Everything that moves, is musical, and that music is poetry. And when do I start writing? I just get the first word and the line. And I think of how the audience is going to receive my poems. So I think of the kind of audience. If I have invited to a conference, it's not the same like structure of the poem I'm going to write. If I'm going for a competition, if I'm going for just like my show and so on. It depends on the kind of like performance.